Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the annual general meeting of the Village of Chester Commission. The date is June the 11th, Wednesday, and it's now 6:30. As our first order of business, we would like to do the land acknowledgement, and just to remember that June is Indigenous Heritage Month in Canada, which makes it all the more important that we remember as we meet today that we live in Mi'kmaq, the traditional and ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The territory is unceded and unsurrendered, and as such, we are all treaty people with a responsibility to each other and to this land. May I have a motion from one of the commissioners to approve or amend the agenda as published? Thank you, Gloria. Thank you, Laura. First item on the agenda is the auditor's report, and our auditor, Lawrence Lake, is with us by Zoom, I assume. So, Lawrence, you have the floor. Did you hear me? Perhaps not.
Oh my gosh,
Lawrence, we can't hear you.
Hey, Darcy.
Hi, Darcy.
I'm planning to do that for one.
You have your microphone off, Lawrence.
There you go. Is that better?
Yeah,
There we go.
Thank you.
So we're going to start on the independent auditor's report, which is page 1. So I'll read the opinion paragraph, which states, in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Village of Chester as of March 31, 2025, and the results of its operations and changes in net assets for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. So that's a clean audit opinion. So next we'll jump to the consolidated statement of financial activities. So these statements are prepared on a consolidated basis. So they include your operating funds, reserve funds, and also the 50% ownership of the Chester Fire Services Committee. So the total revenue this year was $1.192 million. Total expenses were about $700,000 for a surplus of $492,779. Next is the statement of financial position. And so about $459,000 in cash versus $808,000 last year. Reserves are $1 million versus $938,000 last year. And last year was when everything was transferred over to the Chester Fire Services Committee. So under liabilities, you'll see there's like a $1,009,000 payable, and that's all been all the assets have now been transferred, so that's gone away. The net financial assets is explained on the next page, so I'll go over those changes on that page. That's that 1,429,436. And then before you go down there, there's still the non-financial assets, the capital assets and prepaids. But essentially just like, so for the net financial assets, we start with the surplus of $492. There was $238,000 of capital purchases. That includes both the 50% of the fire committee as well as the village. Amortization was $100,000, and there was a write down of assets of $5,000, and then a use of prepaids was, or an increase of prepaids was $14,000. So overall, you had an increase in net financial assets of $373,000, and you have $1.429 million at the end of March. So next is the statement of financial changes in financial position, or a cash flow statement. So we start with our surplus of $492. We add back the non-cash write down and non-cash amortization. And then after changes in working capital, the largest being paying that payable down used a lot of your cash. There's a $16,471 of cash used. There was 1,067,000 of investments purchased, 938,000 sold. And it looks very similar, but that's just because it's picking up both half of the Chester Fire Service Committee, because most of the reserve GICs are now in the Chester Fire Services Committee. So the tangible capital assets was 238. The portion for the village was about 139, and the largest portion of that was the Liddittle Pool renovations. So overall, you had a cash decrease of 383,000, and at the end of the year, you had 462,130 on hand. And then the next few pages are the notes of the financials. I wasn't going to go over those, but I will just, if you want to jump to the last page, I'll go over the reserves. So it's the very last page. There we go. So last year, you started the year with 304,000 in reserve. The big addition is your share of the reserves in the Chester Fire Services Committee, the second column. You probably noticed that that's new. That wasn't there yesterday when we went over just the village statements. So your share of the Chester Fire Services reserve is 713,000, and then you guys have 28,000 in the building reserve, 194,000 in the Liddittle Pool, 85,000 in the operating reserve, and 42,000 in the utility reserve, for 1,064,000 overall in reserves at the end of the year. Any questions on the statements?
No.
Any questions?
Oh. We did all this last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, it's the same as last night, but now it has 50% of the Chester Fire Services Committee added to it.
Are there any questions from the floor? It's scintillating reading, I know. Commissioners? Okay. Very well, I'm going to place a motion on the table, and I will ask for a mover and a seconder. That the Village of Chester Commission approve the 2024-25 audit report as submitted by Morris Brewster Lake, and authorize the commission chair and clerk treasurer to sign the financial statements. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you very much, Lawrence. I'm glad we were able to save you a drive.
Yeah, thank you. It's convenient to be able to zoom in for a 5-minute meeting instead of driving 2 hours. So
Yes. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night.
Bye.
Okay, the next item of business, 4.1, is we are placing on the table the 25-26 Village Commission budget, which has been approved, but is a normal process during the AGM to tell people what our proposed budget for the coming year is. And our clerk treasurer has a few notes to make about this budget.
We won't go through it. I just wanted to set the table a little bit if you're looking at it. This budget was passed on May 21st, and it includes anticipated inflation-driven cost increases based on CPI 2.3%. As per last year, we just started this last year, the budget is divided into a general government and operations budget funded by tax revenue, capital projects budget, which is funded by grants and reserves, and the EHS building budget, which is funded by rental income. This is just to improve clarity and transparency. The commission has held the general government tax rate to 25-26, the same rate it has been for the past 8 years, which is 0.0777 per $100 of assessment. For 25-26, the assessments were up 2.6% over last year. But taking away an overpayment from last fiscal, it brings us to plus 1.28% over last year. To better support low-income residents in the village, the commission again raised exemption amounts by CPI. An application form is available from the village or from the municipal office. The village also offers exemptions to eligible nonprofit organizations.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions to Heather or any of the commissioners from the gallery? No? That does not require a motion because it's for information. It is required that we present for public information at the annual general meeting, a review of our reimbursement policy. We have not changed anything other than we changed the mileage rate in terms of what is approved provincially as allowed for in the policy. I believe it's in the package, isn't it, Heather, for information? We also are required to present a review of the hospitality policy. It was reaffirmed by the commission with no changes, and it turns out that we didn't use the hospitality policy at all in the most previous year. So unless there's any questions, we'll move on to reports. The first is the chair. I am not going to read my report. We have many programs and services which are detailed by the clerk treasurer's report. But what I thought I would do is just talk about a few important policies and programs that we had during the fiscal year that's under review at this AGM. The first, of course, and the most important is the transition of the fire department from administration by the commission to a corporate body called the Chester Fire Services Committee, which is registered under the Municipal Government Act and is a corporate body separate from its partner organizations, which is the commission and the municipality. And so they are now empowered completely with their own budget and with the ability to administer the fire department. However, they have certain fiscal reporting responsibilities to the commission and to the municipality. It just brings the whole administration of the fire department to a more modern and effective method of administering it rather than controlling it through just one corporate body. So that was the most important thing that happened during our year. We're very pleased that the Chester Fire Services Committee is now up, running, and very effectively so. Another thing that we're doing is, as an elected body under the Municipal Government Act, we have a responsibility under the 2017 Accessibility Act to ensure that many of our programs, services, buildings, and so on are reasonably accessible to people. And we were fortunate in the 2024-25 fiscal year to get several very good grants in order to bring up to reasonable standards the public washrooms operated by the commission and the Lido pool. Much of that work has not been done. The grants were acquired in that year and the work will be completed this year. Another important thing that happened, as we all know, the Lido pool is very important to the citizens and to a wider than the Chester village itself. And unfortunately, we were having some trouble with the outer wall. It was beginning to crumble and leak, and it was getting pretty serious. Fortunately, we were able to get a grant again and to reinforce the wall. And so now the pool has been fixed and will be in good shape for many years to come, and is very effectively managed by Darcy, who will be telling us about her program for the year. So those are just a few of the highlights of the kind of general thing that we've been doing in addition to all the programs and services. But one of the things we discovered during that fiscal year, to bring it to a conclusion, is that although we offer many programs and services, people are not aware of it. So that is something that we need to make ourselves more visible to the people who elect us. And the other thing that we need to do moving forward is to build on the partnership we've created with the municipality. And I'm very pleased that Tom Brennan, ever since he was elected as the District 3 councillor, and the village, of course, is in his district, has shown such an interest in the commission and attends our meetings. And that's something that we will be working harder on in our next fiscal year. But to come back to where I began, the fire department, I know we speak for the majority of all our commissioners, that is the heart of the commission, and that we will always do our best to ensure that the men and women of the volunteer fire department have the best to keep them safe, and have the best training, the best equipment, so that when they are looking after us, we are looking appropriately after them. Thank you. And now we will have the clerk treasurer's report. Thank you.
I will also skip over part of this. Most of the first page is kind of reiterates the various services that the village provides, from the Lido pool, which we manage other than the swimming lessons, through to road control. So there's a big long list there if you want to see what it is that we provide you. The village has an annual election cycle, all villages do, with this year 2 commission seats were up for a 3-year term. And at the nomination deadline at 5 p.m. on June 4th, there were 2 candidates for the 2 seats. So both are elected by acclamation. So a very warm welcome back to Commissioners Laura Mulroney and Brenda O'Malley. They'll be sworn in our meeting after this one. Financial, we've looked at the audit report, we've looked at the village budget. I've got a link on there where you can find the last 5 or 6 years of various reports if you want to look at anything from there. The only thing I want to add to fire services is that the village staff continue to provide administrative, financial, and project support to the committee and the fire department. The initial 2-year service designated in the intermunicipal fire services agreements between the village and municipality was recently renewed for another 5 years. The annual report provided by the fire chief to the Chester Fire Services Committee AGM a couple of months ago will be shared this evening for an overview of fire and emergency services in 2024. There are other village services to come, as the chair mentioned, based on the commission's strategic planning work that they've been working diligently at this year, and I look forward to helping them come to fruition. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. And we would now, Darcy, would you like to speak to your report? From you?
Oh, Heather will.
Okay. Oh, Heather will. Darcy. Heather
here it
will
is.
now
It's
speak
here
to Darcy's
anyway, yeah.
report.
Yes, we talked about the repairs and retrofit work that's happening with the Lido. We had a really good year with our lifeguards last year. We had a full complement, and we didn't have to have any dark days, which was really nice. And then Darcy very ably runs the swimming lesson program, so we share the space that way. We provide a lifeguard for those lessons, and then lifeguards for the family swims. So the water safety program at the pool came to a close on August 30th last year. Once again, the program was very successful. All sessions were well attended with participants from Chester and throughout the municipality and families that come here during the summer months. Children 6 months and up participated in lessons. The fees are kept reasonable so that most children can take part. They can enjoy the outdoors, be active, and at the same time learn to swim and water safety skills. This is very important due to the fact that we live so close to the ocean. The water safety instructor last summer was Nevaeh Gaines, who we would also employ as a part-time lifeguard when she wasn't teaching. Parents were pleased with the program, and the instructor did a wonderful job. She is returned this summer. A number of our lifeguards are coming back this year too, most of them. And I will just kind of table it there. There's 3 sessions of 3 weeks each this summer coming up. Lessons are half hour, Monday to Friday, 9 AM to 12 PM, 12 PM to 5 PM. The cost is $65 a child, and the first session will start on June 30th. So thank you to everyone for continued support of the pool and its programs.
Thank you, Darcy, through Heather.
Yeah.
And our final report of the evening is the Chester Fire Services Committee. They did submit a written report. Would anyone care to add anything to that? Either the chair of the Chester Fire Services Committee or our famous or infamous chief of the fire department? Give anything that you'd like to add?
Did you give this one he gave
Evening
it?
all.
Or-
Chester Volunteer Fire Department responded to 295 emergency calls this previous calendar year. CVFD completed 25 training events, which included host deployment, wildfire suppression, inshore boat operation, chimney fire operations, medical first response, driver training, ice rescue, swiftwater rescue, Mayback operation, regional emergency management organization, tabletop operation, and annual audit certification in fire tactics. CVFD has also started training to be able to respond to a call for swiftwater rescue. The CVFD has been working with all our mutual aid partners to achieve a group of qualified trained swimmers within the municipality. As you can see from this list, it was a busy year responding to emergency calls and training. The dedication of the membership to train and make sure when you call 911, you receive a professional response in your time of need is second to none. A great group of volunteers has set aside their life to help our community. All we ask in return is for your continued support to keep this service growing. I want to thank Maxine and Heather for all their work throughout the years, or throughout the year, 8 years actually. It's a lot behind the scenes that people don't see, and a lot of work. So thank you to you both again. It's appreciated. And to Chester Fire Services Committee, we thank them, and to the Village of Chester, we thank you very much for your ongoing and continued support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it?
Are there any questions for the chief? We now open a public forum, so if there are any questions that anyone in our massive public forum here would like to ask the commission, or if we might even have someone on Zoom.
No, we do not.
We do not. I make the announcement.
I had a question for Darcy that you rushed right through.
Oh, sorry. My apologies, my goodness.
Are you getting a lot of new Canadians in your program, Darcy?
Last year we had, what's her name? There were two girls.
Oh, Kiva and Hala,
Yeah, and this year there's
some Indian.
family with 2 twins and a girl. And Cindy, or Cynthia knows, Cynthia Meyer knows exactly who they are, her and Jilly know them.
Right.
They were newcomers here,
Oh,
definitely.
good. So that's a nice program.
I've got a number of probably 30 emails to answer.
Oh, that's great.
tomorrow morning when I
And
get
some
up.
kids can get the pro kids, right? The pro kids
Yeah, there's some
funding.
go for kids,
Oh,
but I got a
excellent.
massive amount of emails, I've already answered now, I've got another
Good work.
whack to do.
Really great program you're running, Darcy.
Yeah, how are you doing? Is registration going well, Darcy? I'm looking through a TV sort of at you.
Well, like I was saying, I've got probably 30 emails to answer again, which I've just done a few
Okay.
days ago, now I've done about another 30, and I haven't even really put it out there, it kind of just happens on its own now.
Okay, so it looks like it's gonna be a busy year for you.
I'd love to have a part-time starter, but I can't find any, so,
Really?
no.
I thought I might have had a line on one, but that person
I
took
had one
another
email me,
position,
but
so.
I emailed her back, never heard back.
That's where we're gonna help.
That's too bad.
None of the lifeguards we have currently this year are also instructors. I thought I might get one, but didn't
But
work
if you
out.
put it out there, anybody in the municipality, the rec department pays for half the course.
Mhm.
And if I can get one to commit, I'd put the bill for the other half.
That's
It
what's
wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't be able to even do it, because it's quite expensive, it's not cheap anymore.
Well, we'll put our ear to the ground, Darcy. Did I miss somebody else who wanted to ask a question? No? I've been suitably.
Test ours.
Chasing.
Jason.
Would anyone else like to say anything or ask a question or make a comment? Tell us what a good job we're doing.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, the whole family was there, yeah.
I have one more comment. I'd like to commend Geraldine. I know that this is coming in the new year, not the last year, but all of your work that you took to get the visitor information center done in like 1 month.
Oh, thank you.
And it was a nice article in the Progress I saw, or
Yeah.
whatever it's called. So well done to you for doing that.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I guess we seem to have concluded our public forum and our large crowd on Zoom does not seem to be coming in. I will be happy to accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Thank you very much for coming.